Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Interconnect podcast. I'm your host, Laurent. This is the podcast where we sit down with founders and operators building real solution in complex market, and we focus on what actually happened behind the scene. Today, I'm joined by Dustin Wish, founder and CEO of Deeper Breath AI, and Deeper Breath AI builds intelligent protective equipment that combine AI, sensors, and respiratory systems to detect threats and monitor human health, and in real time. Dustin, happy to have you on I'm very, very happy to have you on the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Wonderful. I always like to start with your background, so listeners understand the path that you hear. Um, you you have worked across Ah, Samsung, Nokia, and multiple startup before this. Dustin, how did your background in spatial computing and deep tech lead you to build Deeper Breath AI?
So, ultimately, I always joke because I started up here for a while doing VR, and I've just moved further down the face. So, uh, for for me, you know, it's been interesting because I saw a gap in the marketplace where, as I've kind of getting older in my career and being a problem solver and engineer, I'm always looking for solutions for particular problems. And one of those that I came across was that there was no real disruptive technology that's been done in the protective PPE space. Even given COVID, we had this huge global pandemic and everything else. We still didn't learn a lot out of actually the pandemic. We like when it comes to filtration products, essentially the market really hasn't been disrupted or a new product been um, put out in the marketplace since really World War II. And that's just an addition for World War One. Going back to World War One, when people were using chemical and biological weapons on each other, we invented the gas mask, which was just a butyl rubber covering with some holes and a tube to a filter. And that hasn't really changed very much. Even if you look at commercial space stuff today, in construction, mining, drilling, all these other verticals, very little has changed in that space. It's still just a respiratory filter that really doesn't do anything. Or it's what's also called a PAPR, which is the tube now in World War II was just a tube that connected to some fans with some additional filtering. That's really it. And so what we wanted to do was disrupt this whole market space where we now add the technology, the data, the detection capabilities, the monitoring capabilities in a single unit in cases where it goes well beyond just filtration. It goes into, again, like you said, cardiorespiratory monitoring, cardiorespiratory ventilation, chemical compound detection algorithms that actually can detect and tell you whether your filter's working, is it not working, what's the happening out in the air. So it's really about how do I understand the environment in which we're inhabiting, how's it affecting me as a user, and then what other things do I need to do if it is a bad air situation or contamination scenario, both for first responders, but also even down to the civilian sector.
Yeah, I love it. What stand out in in your story is how the original concept evolved, and um, can you walk us through what early idea around atomization and how you pivoted towards detection, for example?
Sure. Sure. It's a funny story, actually. So, as I didn't plan on this being a thing. This kind of happened by accident as a joke. Um, I have a friend who was one of Elon's executive chefs. Um, very very tall guy. He used to have to cook 7-course meals out in the middle of the desert. for people because Elon used to take his family out to Burning Man, etc., and they would glamp, if you would. So anyway, this guy essentially, this all started as a joke. So he would finish a shift. He would want to go out and smoke marijuana in the middle of this sandstorm, which he couldn't do because years ago, this is before even really kind of mass legalization, but here in California, but basically, what he was looking for was a way that he could wear a mask and sit in a sandstorm, but still smoke weed. And literally as a joke, I created this push button vape mask that he could actually do that. Now, fast forward to today, I mean, it'd been through multiple iterations, and another co-founder. What I learned was a friend of mine from Department of Defense saw this, thought it was a very intriguing idea. Um, oh wait, so you could deliver medications and constituent compounds in a wearable device and monitor the health effects in real time. So that's what a pill can't give you. You take it, you wait a while, you hope it works. We could actually kind of monitor what the delivery mechanism. Now I'm an engineer, so I thought, oh, wow, that's a great idea. Interchangeable pods, like we can do this. And we spent many years, me and another co-founder, flushing out the idea, trying to get it to work, going out, trying to raise money. And every VC would talk to us and say, it's a great idea. You're going to make tons of money and never call you back. And it's a valuable lesson from a founder's perspective. Know what problem you're really solving,
Yeah.
instead of just as like, this is super cool. Because we thought, in essence, you got to understand the market too, because we thought, in essence, that, hey, this is a product where we think there might be some legs to it. And ultimately, what we learned is big pharma doesn't develop drugs anymore. They buy drugs out of pipelines. So we're developing a product that needed compounds. Each compound then has to go through clinicals, which is $1 billion problem for each compound. So even though medical device wise, we had a very interesting patent and technology around it, the problem is um, it requires you to go through all this regulatory stuff in order to deliver the end product. And so I would talk to VCs and ask for millions of dollars. They see it's great. And then we would introduce compounds. They'd be like, that's also great, but that's a 10 to 20-year problem. That's $1 billion per. You got 30. That's a $30 billion VC problem. Thanks. Have a nice day. Get out of my office. Because as an engineer, I didn't really understand the market of healthcare. I understood the technology. I understood how to put everything in. What I didn't understand is the market that I'm selling the product and solving the problem in. Even though there's still a problem there, it was not what I wanted to spend the rest of my life chasing. So we ended up parting ways. He's out continuing to research and develop that offering, and I wish him the best. But I wanted to focus on revenue more today. So October 2024, I had the idea of just formulating a company just to focus on the other aspects away from all of the IP that we had developed. And that was focusing on detection, focusing on the cardiorespiratory ventilation technology, those type of things that really hadn't been vetted out of that. And so we focused on that. I spun up new revs that didn't have any of the atomization stuff in it, and focused strictly on, okay, how do we iterate on what this product is today, which is the detection side, the understanding monitoring side, but then going step further. So out of a contested environment, let's say it's a hazmat situation, or let's just take the Pacific Palisades fire here in California, decimated the area. That you could get a mask, you could go in and try to protect your loved one, but then what do you do? Where do you go? The whole area is on fire. You don't know what roads are open or closed. And so out of that, we launched a prototype at scale, which is Southern California Linux Expo, March of last year. Won an award for what we were doing. Bot, who happened to be the mayor of Pacific Palisades, was part of the voting block, as well as several other Cal Fire, FEMA, lots of people, and we won an award for the technology we had. And it really proved to us that I was onto something. we're solving a problem that needed to be solved. It's a real world problem, and it's a problem with that needs to have funding behind it. Um, and so we then won a grant from the state of California later on in the year, and it just kind of evolved from there. And now, we're dealing directly with defense. I'm getting ready to go over to your side of the world, with NATO and various others, and so it's really advancing, beyond what it is. And this is an application that initially I thought, oh, it's just defense sector stuff. This is special forces and those people. But what I found is that problem exists for everybody. It's a in a natural disaster scenario, or in OSHA regulations and compliance, or these other verticals that I had never even been a part of, from mining, drilling, construction, petrochemical, and the gaseous detection that goes on there. So it's a lot of different tentacles that span a lot of different cases that all need the same use case, which is, how do I breathe air safely? How do I know that I'm safe in those environments? And if you're managing an organization, how do I stay compliant so I know my employees are getting the best protection and safety that they can, so the EPA doesn't come find me millions of dollars? And that's multiple verticals. So it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, there's so many things. I love it.
A lot.
You haven't. Yeah, you're entering a space where a company like 3M or Honeywell already dominates. How do you position deeper breath AI in a market with such large incumbents?
Well, I kind of think of it like this, in that even even when they invented the iPhone, it's not like there weren't phones or fax machines or other things that come along that have already been out in the market. Where our angle is to come in and disrupt that market where it's very siloed. Um, our secret sauce really is in two parts. It's not like I'm reinventing filtration. What I'm doing is I'm taking technology and solutions that are becoming readily available and inserting them into a physical space. And this is really important for AI, because I see this same problem happening across multiple different physical device dynamics, in that um, they will continue to infiltrate everything we're doing, from your toaster to to your microwave. you know this interconnective thing that we've been promised for many, many years with IoT and others, now AI just supercharges it. And so we're really trying to fit at that physical domain where um, both AI algorithm detections can get pushed closer to the edge for better detection, better safety, better protocol understanding. Um, and at the same time, marrying our back end, which can do things that you can't really process in the front end, such as evacuation route planning, forecasting for disasters, um, the compliance based issues, a lot of those type of things across your whole organization or your team or whatever. And so it's kind of marrying both that cloud AI functionality with physical AI at the prem, and then adding the sensor fusion stack to it to be able to do all these things that now are, I would say, it's fairly commoditized. Like, we don't make sensors, we partner with lots of sensor companies in order to bridge a holistic solution. And so that's kind of where it's taking those things that I can get off the shelf, adding the magic of software and firmware on top of it, with the software in the back end, and really building out these flush solutions to go against people like Honeywell or 3M, which have bits and pieces, but they're huge companies. They can't maneuver as fast as we can. And the other challenge is just, it's just silos. So we're taking advantage of a market that is coming in and doing these neat things that they just can't do in bigger organizations. And I'd be a fool to say somebody won't come in and try to buy us out and integrate this technology later on. It's a great exit strategy. I'd love to partner with people like a 3M or Honeywell, if they want to come in and give me a big check. But for now, what it is, we're focusing on just developing the solutions to provide better safety overall, and disrupting where we can, and scaling, because these companies, they've gotten scale. They've focused on a dumb device that doesn't do anything. It doesn't really tell you much. Now they do have gaseous base detection and Bluetooth, but it's just about feature set and adding things, working with partners that can advance the solution faster than they can. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. You mentioned with your work touches defense, industry, industrial construction, even emergency response, like you just mentioned, in Pacific Palisade. How do you think about targeting so many different verticals at once?
Well, that's a great question because this comes up with VCs a lot, right? Or any investor in that, well, man, you seem really spread thin. Well, it's in lots of ways, it would seem that way. Oh, you're chasing a lot of verticals, which is why strategically when we formed the company, I focused on channel partners and finding experts in those fields and focusing where we can generate revenue faster. So whether that's health and wellness, which we actually work with a company called X2L Bio. And Eric, who's the founder, has been great to work with. Made a lot of introductions on the fitness health space where our technology fits within that vertical. We work with other channel partners like an SD3 IT in defense sector. They're our military prime. They already carry all those clearances, all those things in the defense sector. They actually offer all the server components that we don't offer. So I don't make servers. I'm not going to put the infrastructure. I'm not going to install that in the facility, but I have channel partners that can do those things that are specific to those verticals. And so I'm doing a JV right now overseas to bring all this stuff over to Europe in the industrial petrochemical side. So it was about finding channel partners, experts in the field, and growing it that way so I can focus on the most important part, which is actually the product, where our special sauce is, developing those things that can then cut across all those verticals so they can just it's the same product, it's just boom 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 boom. It's just packaged in a different manner.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But which markets do you feel is the strongest entry points right now?
So we're making progress in all those. The where we're seeing a ton more interest just lately because things pivoted is in petrochemical. The problem with defense as a whole, as a market, it's slow. And it just takes you have to go through a lot of regulatory hoops. You can let's just take the cyber funding route of, hey, you have some interesting technology, we want to invest well, they want to give you non-diluted equity funds in order to develop that product for use for US military. In order to go through that process is about 2 years. People say it's different, but I've seen this generally take 2 years. That's 2 years that you're not making anything. You're hoping that you're getting funding and you can still get denied. So where I focused is who can do paid POCs, who can proof this with us, so we can have money for validation, who is willing to help us iterate in products. We've had multiple conversations with you name it from the petrochemical side with everything that's been going on in Venezuela. So, from Phillips, Saudi Aramco, Chevron, Halliburton, lots of various others that, you know, are very interested in our technology and petrochemical because they deal with gaseous detection already. I mean, these guys just taking the petrochemical business alone, they make about $8 billion, I think, collectively in a day. So even $100 million is, I mean, they spend more probably in coffee than they do in respiratory equipment. We're fairly competitive in all of that, and we keep their employees safer. So they're willing to work with us and invest and take time to help us iterate in products that they find valuable. And I found that being a better approach in the market than just like, hey, here's a widget, can you sell it? Or even in just a fundraising side is finding alternative routes to get your company off the ground and running without going to a VC or an investor and like, please take 40% of my company because I have a good idea. And give me terrible terms. I personally bootstrapped this company myself. I've been fortunate to be able to do that, and so it gives me a little bit of leverage to take the time to invest the time and the money involved in developing a good product that uh, has legs. That then, the game changes once you have a prototype in your hand. You can go out and you can talk with others to scale your business into manufacturing. It's just a different conversation, and it's been fortunate to be able to do that versus just walk around with my hat out. Please invest in my idea, which I've done before. But it's a very tough. Being a founder anyway is a tough road. But
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
trying to develop an idea um, where you have we have firms trying to dictate to you, oh, chase this market or chase that market. I've been able to kind of take the time to figure out what the hell market am I going after? Where does this product really fit? And what I found is, to your point, it fits a lot of markets, and where I've been able to kind of strategically place things and work with other partners has helped advance the solution to go. Um, and really this year be the gangbuster year of rolling out product, dealing with standing up global manufacturing, and starting to have conversations about a raise. I do okay, but this is a multi-million-dollar project that is going to churn billions of revenue. So at some point, we have to deal in the capital markets to get there. But uh, I've been turning away money. Largely, it's funny because when you get into fits, you can only take money from select people. It's not like an AI standard AI company where I can, everybody, you say AI and somebody's going to just open a checkbook. We have to be very strategic because of the laws in the United States. We are a TAA made in America product that originally focused on U.S. military and first responders. So I couldn't go to the general capital markets and say, hey, sovereign wealth funds from Saudi Arabia or wherever that also have, I mean, they're a huge petro company, but I can't take a large investment from them because of some of the laws in the United States. So it makes fundraising even more strategic and tougher, that you can't just go to the general capital markets. We can for financing, for banks and et cetera. We're doing loans, but it can't for direct equity investment. So it just changes the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I mean, building hardware and AI systems and regulated products at the same time is very different from building a software. Um, right now, what
And we're
feels
building and we're
like
building both, which makes it even crazier.
okay, you not make it easy. What and then what feels like the hardest part of running or scaling deeper breath?
So, the I don't even say this lightly. I think this is if you're in deep tech, this is one of the best times in the world to ever exist, just historically. I can send out breadboard. I can send out PCBs to get manufactured, but I globally, and have them back in days. I have easy access to components and parts. I mean, the tariffs are obviously everybody in hardware battles with this, um, but as I'm prototyping, it's allowed me to kind of stretch my wings in a lot of different ways, and that's been super exciting. You know, I have developed hardware products in the past, but a lot's changed. I'm getting to take advantage of new microcontrollers, new edge based technology that's helping push AI so close to the edge, and that's just going to get better and better as time progresses. So I liken it to what I saw happen in VR in the early days. Um, Palmer Luckey, when he started Oculus, he saw a culmination of multiple technologies that could happen because it's not like VR's new. VR's been going on since the Sword of Damocles. It's been going on a long time, way before I got into the game even, and it took advantage and piggybacked on a multiple technologies from new new sensors for proximity sensing, new technology in just processing, new waveguide, and new ways in which optical sensors and LED screen, all these other ancillary technologies can combine in a way in which can create a product that could never really be created before. And so that's where we get to step into this, is that there's advantages as a deep tech entrepreneur to take advantages of new microcontrollers, easy access to Wi-Fi, and even other used to be very complex things like 4G, 5G, um, chipsets. These kind of things are becoming commoditized, easy to integrate. There's even AI solutions for PCB manufacturing to add these features in without having to be a double E. Um, I myself am not a double E. I learned all of my electronics from doing and experimenting. And so now you can do these type of things in your home or in a small work area and not have a huge team even to do it. We AI automate a lot of what we do, and so it's like it's getting to take advantage of all these technologies that just make it better, faster, cheaper to launch these products in the market.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, you are building something that could define a new category. And looking ahead 12 to 18 months, what does success realistically looks like for Deeper Breath?
Oh boy, that's a hard one. Just because things iterate so quickly. Um, where we're looking for, it depends on vertical market. So, um, because we're growing to your point, multiple different verticals, and each one's kind of taking its own time step in it. Uh, Obviously we're going to continue to do more validation with the U.S. military as we work through that process. It takes time, but there's a definite need, especially now with all the ramp up within the things that are going on in the world, and still possibilities of chemical and biological weapons being used in theaters. This type of technology to be able to handle congestion and marry technology is not going away. It's just gonna get more and more um, accelerated. But then within other industrial markets, it's also accelerating because they're looking for better ways in which they can stay compliant. They can do things cheaper. They can handle like we're working on a new product now um, for gaseous detection. That's just going to be probably the world's smallest for gas detector, and that is comes out of the gate with features that no one else offers in the market because it's just timing. And so really, it's how do we take that technology that we have and start to expand in those verticals. And that's what we're going to continue to do over the next 12 months is we're going to invest in uh standing those all up, making sure that those verticals are well defined and are starting to flywheel through each one. And getting product to market in workers and first responders' hands in order to play with it, understand it, and really redefine it. Because it takes a little bit of education and training when you deal with a complex product like this that's getting into the market. Even though we try to make it absolutely as easy as possible, they have to integrate with existing systems. Um, we also integrate even like on fitness and wellness. Getting more firm partnerships with people like Aura, which I have an Aura ring, I have a Whoop. Um, we actually can take all those different ancillary technologies and build them in to help strengthen our case for stickiness and validation with other external partners. So we're just going to continue to kind of grow um, through partners with other partners into different verticals, helping them expand along with us.
Love it. And you have you have gone through multiple iteration and learned from real mistakes. Um, based on
Painful mistakes.
yeah, bah, you know, based on your journey so far, what should founders or operators in similar position start or stop doing?
Well, so that's an easy one because this is one I learned valuably through my career is find a problem that somebody is really willing to pay for. Not that it's cool. I mean, not to say that being cool is not it's not uncool. You want to be cool, but you want to make great products. You want to do innovative and crazy things, but you also need to make sure that it's actually solving a real world problem that people are willing to pay for, and finding those strategic supporters in the markets that you're going in that are willing to either help you validate or do a paid POC. I prefer saying pilots because Kissing came out with a report where 80% of the POCs just don't go anywhere. Like, if there's no skin in the game for a potential customer as you're validating these deep tech products, then they're probably great. You might get something out of it. You may not. Most likely aren't going to get a paying customer. What you want is revenue, because that's what investors are going to look at. They want to know, can you drive revenue? Are you and if it's not revenue, it's on path traction to get to revenue, because that's how they make their money back. And that's how you're going to make your money is through revenue. So I even tell a lot of early stage founders that are younger than myself, like, hey, don't just chase buzz. I've been able to fortunately ride many waves, from the internet to cell phones and IoT to VR. And now I'm cutting a whole new path through the forest with smart respirators, and other technology. But you need to really understand, what is that problem and what are they going to be willing to pay for it, so that you don't spend a lot of time, like I did, years chasing a product offering that we thought was great. We were told it's great, but we didn't really understand fundamentally the full market. So if you can get that picture and of what am I selling in, why do they need it, and what's it going to take me to get there? Prototypes are one thing, working through it, getting things in people's hands, really doing a design iteration for manufacturing, getting to that DFM point, but it's really understanding that problem. So you build that product that people, it has to fly off the shelf. They just want it. And that's what we've tried to do with all our products, is developing products that not only save lives, but that people want to wear, or they look at this as just like they would have a defibrillator in an airport or train station, where it's a go-to item to save lives.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. 100%. This is great advice. Dustin, thank you so much for joining. Strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you're doing at Deeper Breath. I really love the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the time and opportunity, and hopefully this is helpful for others out there. I am easy to find on the internet. There is only one Dustin Wish, so feel free to reach out. I love talking to other founders and other people in our
Where,
sector.
where especially,
Oh
where,
God,
where can
I'm
they
easy to
find you?
find. So you can obviously find us through our website, deeperbreath.ai, LinkedIn, Discord. I'm on everything, uh, from
Wonderful.
Facebook to Twitter to all the realms of the internet. But unfortunately, due to all the media I've done, everything over the years, they're the only one. I hope no another family member names their kid Dustin. Because right now I got the number one poll spot. But yeah, I'm easy to find.
Wonderful. And definitely we need to keep the conversation going,
Sure.
and have another podcast maybe soon, to see your growth, and how you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Dustin.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
And that's
Sure.
it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. And if you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building. Thank you.